Hello there everyone, my name is Crazy Caleb and welcome to Pawns. This module is going to be based off of the concept of chess, and what our goal is to determine whether we can capture specific pawns based off of the positions of which some of these pieces are at. So, what our goal is there's going to be essentially we need to find a way, if we need to find which moves can capture which pawns, and there is going to be a specific order which we have to do this in, potentially. So it's going to be in a 7x7 chessboard, and for each pair, if the left piece can capture the right piece within one move, we're going to press capture, or otherwise we're going to be pressing pass. And we're going to do this for all of these guys here, and that's going to be for 8 of them. So thanks to Luminosity Tim, I have been provided with an interactive on the actual chessboard here. This normally is not available. If you happen to click more, you're able to find the interactive here. But thankfully, I'm able to visually represent this. Most people actually tend to find a way to solo this and just visualize it in their head. It's not too hard to do, and I've actually done it myself once. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to be just simply representing this with the actual chessboard here. For those of you who do not know how to do this quite yet. So let's take a look at what we need to do here. Now, for the first thing that we tend to do is I tend to just place all of the pieces on the board here, and let's see what we're after here. Because there is going to be a couple things we also have to pay attention to. There is going to be, let's actually place the blockers first. Now, there is going to be a possibility of there being blockers present on the board, which is going to be represented by this simple X mark right here. If you happen to have one of these in your way, you will not be able to traverse that tile at all in any direction. So let's take a look. So there will also be a number of other objects on the chessboard which can block movement, and pieces are able to block each other, and that no pieces disappear or move upon submitting an answer. So that's going to be very, very important to note. And there will also be a number of other objects on the chessboard. To obtain these coordinates, take the first letter and the first digit of the serial number, and we're going to be adding or subtracting 7 until both are within the range of A through G, or 1 through 7. And this is going to be the coordinate of the first blocker. So let's take a look. So our first coordinate, our first letter and first digit is going to be K3, and then we're going to have a K8. So we're going to repeat this with the next letter and the next digit of the serial number until you run out of either. In this case, we're going to run out of the numbers first, so it's just going to be these 3 coordinates that I have to pay attention to. So now we're going to add or subtract 7 to both of these to get us in the specific range that we need to be in. Now, kilo is an 11 in the alphabet, so it's going to be minus 7 is going to be a 4, which is going to be a delta. So our first blocker is going to be a delta 3. Same thing with this one. It's going to be a delta for kilo again. And then it's also going to be a 8 minus 7 is going to be a 1. So our 2 blockers that we're going to have on this module is going to be a delta 1 and a delta 3. So that's how this thing works. So now, taking a look, let's start placing our pieces, and let's start actually seeing if we can capture anything that we have here. So we have alpha 7 is going to be a bishop, and then bravo 6 is going to be a pawn. Now, this can take it, but there might be something that's blocking it. Actually, there really shouldn't be anything that's actually blocking it in general, so we should be able to take that safely. But for the sake of this, I'm going to just get all of the pieces placed on the board. We have a bravo 5 queen. Now, queen is very different from a king. King is the one that has the plus or cross on the top. The queen is the one that has that little circle at the top. That's very important to note how this is designed. Queens obviously look a little bit different. As you can see, it's got the five prong crown. Now let's place this at bravo 5, and the pawn that we're going to be trying to take with this one is going to be echo 5. We're going to have another queen at foxtrot 7, and this is going to be trying to take delta 5. Now that is indeed possible. So next up we have Charlie 3 is going to be another queen. Wow, 3 queens. And we have a bravo 4 pawn. It's going to be right over here. And so far everything that I'm seeing has the possibility of taking the pawns that we want to take. Charlie 5 is going to be right here. Now this bishop is going to get in the way. Foxtrot 2 is going to be right here. Charlie 6 is going to be a knight, right over here, and Echo 7 is going to be the pawn that we're going to try and take. Alpha 5 is going to be a king, and Alpha 4 is going to be a pawn. Okay. Now, and lastly for our last one here, we have a rook at Bravo 7, and we're trying to take at Delta 7. So now, remember, one of the things that's important is that note that pieces are able to block each other and that no pieces disappear or move upon submitting an answer. So what we want to do is we want to say hypothetically that we want to be able to take these pieces. And now, As we just saw from beforehand, this bishop, in this case, if we go back, there should be a Bravo 5 queen, Bravo 5 to Echo 5. This queen wants to take the Echo 5 pawn. However, in this case, both the pawn at Delta 5 and Charlie 5 and the Charlie 5 bishop are in the way. So this means that this is actually not going to be able to be taken. And normally, what I tend to do is I tend to go through this normally, making sure that everything is able to have a sort of straight path to it. And the moves and the pieces do move as in normal chess. Bishops are diagonals, rooks are horizontal and vertical. Knights are the weird L piece. The queen can move in both the. It's a combination of the bishop and the rook, two of your most powerful pieces, and the king can obviously move one space. The pawns are not going to be moving. That's essentially what we're going to be taking care of here. So now, with this in mind, let's take a look and let's start from the top and let's see if these pieces can capture these pawns safely with no problem whatsoever. So now this bishop and alpha 7 is indeed safely able to capture this pawn. There's nothing preventing it from getting in the way, so we're able to safely capture this piece. And now, the way that you'll know you're correct is if the piece happens to jump over and this little light over on the right side turns green. That's perfect for us. So now, this is the case that I was referring to. This queen is pretty much stuck. It's not going to be able to move over to Echo 5, and we need to do this in exactly one move. It has to be in exactly one move, so this is going to be immediately a pass. Okay, that's good. So now we're doing that correctly. Next up, Foxtrot 7 queen is going to go over down to Delta 5. There's nothing preventing it from doing that, so that's going to be a capture. Okay. Next up, Charlie 3 to Bravo 4. That's on its own plan. That's on its own plane. That's able to capture. No problemo. Charlie 5 to Foxtrot 2. So Charlie 5 to a Foxtrot 2. That's safe to do it. It doesn't hit any of the blockers. That's perfect. So we're able to capture that piece. Indeed. Next up, Charlie 6 to Echo 7 is going to be the L piece. Now, you might be thinking, wait, that pawn's in the way. Why would this be safe to capture? No. That the knight doesn't necessarily have to go that way. It can go obviously this sort of L piece where it goes Delta 6, Echo 6, and Echo 7 as well. It does jump over the pawn in this case if it happened to go up and to the right. The way that it works is it does the L piece in one consecutive move. So we are able to capture this piece with no problem. Perfect. Next up is going to be the king A5 to A4. Right down here, there's no problem. There's nothing preventing that. That's perfect. We're able to capture. And then finally, this Bravo 7 to Delta 7, the rook, it is indeed able to capture that pawn with no problem. And just like that is a solved module. Note that the only case that I had to pass on was because of the fact that we were able to this queen was blocked in. It was not able to move because the bishop didn't move, because the bishop is because if you happen to say capture beforehand, it doesn't move at all. It's still stuck in place. So that's important to note down. So that's the reason why I passed that one, because there was also a pawn in the way, and there was also a bishop in the way. It wants you to treat these pieces as if they still stay on the board the entire time. And as you saw, there was a lot of cases where it was just where most of these pieces were just one move away from each other. There was nothing preventing it, so that was perfect. So let's take a look at one final example. This model is not that hard to do. However, as you can see, it can be a little bit tricky to visualize it, and you might be able to miss something. So I would advise that you do not jump to conclusions when it comes to thinking that you have a safe move to do. Now, obviously, with the bishop, for example, at the alpha 7 and the pawn at Bravo 6, that would have been easy to take. They are both one move away. That is safe to move. There is nothing preventing it from moving. So that's just one thing you need in mind. So let's reset the board. And let's take a look at one more example. Let's first get our blockers that we have in the way. So this is going to be an alpha 6 for this first one, and that's actually pretty much set up for us. That's perfect. Now we're going to have 3 different blockers this time around, whereas we have 3 letters and we have 3 digits. So next up we're going to have an India 0, and then we're going to have a Foxtrot 4. Now the India 0 is the one that we need to change here. That's the one that we need to focus on real quick. So we need to subtract 7 from the India. In this case, that's going to give us a Bravo. And we need to add 7 to this to give us a Bravo 7. So now we're going to place our blockers there. Alpha 6, Bravo 7, and Foxtrot 4. Okay. And now we're going to take a look at the board. So now let's take a look. So we have a king at Delta 6 and a pawn at Charlie 6. So far, that's safe to go. There's nothing preventing it from doing it, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to place every piece on the board just to make sure that I am able to safely take every piece. There shouldn't be any interferences. Knight at Golf 5. and pawn at Foxtrot 3. That looks good to go. Nothing preventing it so far. We have a queen at Bravo 5 and a pawn at Alpha 5. Okay. Rook Golf 4. Where's the catch going to be? And a pawn at Golf 1. So far, nothing preventing it. Perfect. A queen at Foxtrot 2. Foxtrot 2, and a pawn at Charlie 2. Now, there's a lot of space between this queen and this pawn. There might be something preventing it from capturing it. So let's take a look. We have, ooh, here we go. This is a bit interesting. Knight at Alpha 7 and pawn at Foxtrot 7. Now, remember what we needed to do here. We need to make sure that we're able to get this pawn in one move, and we can already tell that this is going to be impossible because of the fact that the knight cannot move that far. It's just simply not going to work, so we can already tell that this is going to be a pass regardless of whatever happens. It's just simply not possible to do this in one move. It would have to be a series of several different moves. It would have to be there, there, and there. It would have to be 3 moves, so that would be a little bit annoying. So in this case, you can already tell that that was not going to make it. They also just were far enough away that you can just tell that it just wouldn't work. So next up, with our king here, our king at Charlie 5, and a pawn at Delta 7. Now, this is another case immediately. These guys are too far apart from each other. This is simply not going to work. Also, the pawn and the king happen to be in the way, so we would have to go the full way around. It would be quite annoying. So this is already going to be a pass. So that's not going to work. And then finally, for our last one, we have a queen at Echo 5, and a pawn at Charlie 3. So now, let's go through this. Let's go through the rest of this. The king at Delta 6 and Charlie 6 so far has still no interferences, so we're able to capture that. The knight at Golf 5 to Foxtrot 3, nothing is preventing that, so that's able to capture. We have the queen at Bravo 5 to Alpha 5. Bravo 5 to Alpha 5, good to go. Golf 4 to Golf 1, that's perfect. We have the Foxtrot 2 to Charlie 2. There was nothing in between that, so that is good to go. And then let's go down to the last one, which we said that was indeed safe. The queen at Echo 5 can move diagonally down to the Charlie 3. Capture it. And just like that is a solved module. As always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to stay crazy, stay cool, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.